Progressive Magazine Fab 20, 2018, exercise number 3 and 4, 840 words at the 800 word per minute. Students, if you like dictation, then आप इसको लाइक कर सकते हैं, कमेंट कर सकते हैं या आप इसको चैनल को सब्सक्राइब भी कर सकते हैं. So be ready, start. I should like right at the beginning to say that I welcome the amendment which was proposed to the draft resolution by the Foreign Minister of the United Arab Republic. The amendment makes effective change, but I think it is a happier way of putting forward the idea contained in the resolution. When I had the privilege to put forward the resolution from 5 nations before this assembly, I expressed the hope that it would be accepted unanimously. It did not seem to me reasonably possible that any member of this assembly could object to the resolution. It was straightforward, it contained nothing in it against any individual or this group or that group, but it did represent a strong and passionate desire that things should get moving and that this assembly should not sit paralyzed as if it could not act. Therefore, it was with considerable surprise that I received the paper containing an amendment on behalf of Australia. I read it with care. I found some difficulty in understanding it, and the more read it, the more surprised I was that any member of this assembly should have put this forward as an amendment. I venture to place before this assembly my reasons for this. First of all, it seems to me quite patently that it had nothing to do by way of amending the proposition which we had put forward. It is not an amendment. I do not perhaps know the rules of this assembly, but it is not an amendment. It may be, of course, a separate resolution in some form or another and might have been brought forward and considered by this House. If it was so considered, I would have had much to say about it and against it. The Prime Minister of Australia, in his speech, made it quite clear that it was not an amendment, although he might be call it so. Therefore, I could not quite understand what meaning lay behind this amendment. I have greatest respect for the Prime Minister of Australia, more especially for his keen mind and ability. I wondered if that keen mind had not tried to cover up with a jumble of words something which had no meaning at all. I was particularly keen to listen to the Prime Minister of Australia in the hope that he might throw some light on this aspect. Stop. He stated clearly that he dissented from the last paragraph of the resolution, a very inconspicuous one, nevertheless with very considerable meaning. In fact, the whole resolution led up to this paragraph, the rest being a preamble. Therefore, he dissented from the very basis of the resolution. Coming forward with his amendment, he said the effect of the resolution, if carried, would be undesirable. I wondered if I had understood him correctly of it. I had made some mistake in regard to what he said. Why, I asked the Prime Minister, from any point of view or from any approach, could the passage of the resolution possibly be undesirable? I have given thought to this matter, but I am quite unable to understand his reasoning. Therefore, it must be undesirable from some point of view of which I am not aware and which had nothing to do with the resolution. This is the conclusion I arrived at. I would put it to the distinguished assembly with respect and without meaning offense that this is a rather trivial way of dealing with this not only important question but vital question which is shaking the world by calling it an amendment of the resolution. I submit that we are discussing very important matters affecting this assembly and the world. The Prime Minister, in his argument, talked about a conference. Why does the suggest a meeting or a conference? Question mark. I would beg him to read the resolution again because he has failed to understand it. It does not necessarily suggest a conference or a meeting. Stop. It suggests a renewal of contacts. Again, he asked, why should two people meet? Why should not four meet? Why dismiss the United Kingdom and France? Why omit them from summit talks? These are quotations which I took down when he was speaking. Why all this? He asked. Well, simply because there is no why about it, because nobody is dismissing or pushing out anybody or suggesting it. He has missed the point of the draft resolution and has considered possibly that there is some kind of secret motive behind this. I really regret that any such idea should have gone abroad. The draft resolution was put forward in all good faith for the purposes named in it, and to suspect it of some secret device to push out somebody or not to pay adequate respect to some country is not fair on the part of the honorable gentleman. Indeed, I greatly regret to say that the Prime Minister of Australia has done very little justice to himself in proposing this amendment. Stop.